Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a video I do every year where I go back through all of the albums that I've reacted to, done reviews on, and rank them in a tier list. Basically see which ones are albums of the year and which ones I was a bit not particularly over impressed with. I'm going to quickly just go through the 4 tiers. So the first one we're going to talk about is AAOTY, which is an album of the year. I don't think there can always be one album, there can always be like more than one, so an album is that one. Second one is Goes Hard. It's like ridiculously good. The songs or the albums that you would put on and know you would enjoy yourself listening to. Decent is an album where I would say, yeah, you listen to it on the first go and you thought, yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad. I would come back to this and I would listen to a couple of songs off of this one. There might be a couple of skippable songs. It's an alright album. And then the last one, which is titled which sounds really poor and really out of order when I'm going to be doing these tiers. It's more of a kind of like, it's alright, not for me. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to an album or that album again. Could have a couple of decent songs on it, but there's not enough for me to want to go and listen to the rest of the album. So in no particular order, we are going to start off with probably one of the last albums that came out this year, which was Beartooth, The Surface. I absolutely loved all the singles that came out for this album. I actually preferred it to the Below album that came out last year. I don't know if it's like recent bias, but I actually genuinely think that this Beartooth album is probably one of the best ones they've ever brought out. And for me, this album is an album of the year, because it was just everything I kind of needed this year. It was a lot more upbeat, a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more positive, still very real, still had the raw emotions to it. There's just so many good songs on that album. Not a single one of them I would skip. Songs that I wasn't 100% on board with beforehand have definitely grown on me. The first one we've put on there, album of the year worthy. The second album we're putting in now is Of Mice and Men's Tether, and I will say it is a decent album. It was an alright album. They had a couple of good songs on there that I really enjoyed, got really hyped for the actual album, but then when it came out it just felt a little bit flat for me. Didn't like tick every box I wanted. Still a good album, but it didn't really kind of like excite me when I was actually listening to it. So it's an album that I think I can listen to. It is easy to listen to, but I wouldn't go out of my way and listen to it. If it turned up, if it came on randomly, I'd listen to a couple of songs, but as an album standpoint, Decent is a decent place for it to go. Rivers of Hearsay by Empire State Bastard. Now, I only heard about these guys this year, and I think from my review, I might put it in because I think this album was completely new for me, different kind of like listening experience. A couple of songs I really kind of got into and I enjoyed, but as an album I didn't quite understand it. It wasn't the right album for me. I could listen to a couple of songs off of that album in one go, but I don't think I could sit down and listen to the whole entire album again. I think it's an kind of album. Just to point out, we don't have like a massively negative like tier here in this video, because I don't want to be massively negative. I tried it, I gave it a go, but yeah, I think is probably the best place to kind of put it. Next one is Caskets and the album Reflections. I'm going to put that in decent, kind of on the same line as Of Mice and Men. They released a couple of singles, which I was hyped for, and then when we got to the actual album, I felt like half of the stuff I'd already listened to, which I really enjoyed, the other half either didn't live up to the same expectations I had from them singles, or were just okay. There was nothing else that kind of blew me away and was like new and fresh for me to like listen to, because I'm still kind of going back to older songs. There's nothing on this album that kind of like tops them, if you know what I mean. The next one, which I don't think will be any surprise to anyone really, is Veil of Maya, their album Mother. I listened to it, it's going straight into air. Just didn't have a feel for it. I don't know why. It had all the metalcore attributes there. It had some like individuality to it. It had some uniqueness to it, but it just did not sit with me. I just could not get into it that much. I think a lot of people have a lot of praise for that album, and that's all well and good. This is just my opinion. It just didn't sit with me. I just couldn't get into it. So I'm not missing out personally if I don't ever listen to that album ever again. The next one is The Amity Affliction. Now, I'm putting this in as well, but I'm going to put it there because I think it had the best singles on an album that I've placed in and then the rest of it kind of just fell away for me. There's a lot of like singles on that album that I heard before the album got released that I really enjoyed and I was really hyped for. I was hoping for something else on this album, but I didn't get it. It's in between and decent, basically. I don't want to be too harsh on it. It didn't live up to the expectations that I put on it for some whatever reason. No idea why, but yeah, I don't know. Avenged Sevenfold, Life is But a Dream. once again, it's going air. Avenged Sevenfold is one of like my old ride or die bands that I loved when I was like growing up. The fact that they brought out such an experimental album that I just can't get behind kind of like upsets me, but they haven't been who I've loved for a very long time, so I can't hate the guys for it, and I'm never gonna like, you know, hate too much on it. Like, they tried something, it's not for me, I move on. Hopefully they're still really successful. It was just not for me again. Now we've got 3 more albums left to kind of like put in this tier list, and I will happily say it's more positive going forward. Starting off with Sleep Token's Take Me Back to Eden. If any of you are surprised by this decision, I have no idea why, but that is going as an album of the year. Brand new artist for me, kept me excited every single they dropped. Album itself was just an experience to listen to. I have not stopped listening to this album. I have not stopped listening to the singles. My Spotify Wrapped, it was literally Sleep Token had taken over. This album is so fresh, it's so ageless, timeless. I've got into their older songs because of this album. The album in general is just perfect for any type of feeling. Like, you've got songs on there for any type of mood, any type of vibe, but at the same time you can go from one to another really easily. The flow works perfectly, so that is definitely up there. The next 2 is Currents' The Death We Seek album, and that is going to be going into Goes Hard. Some of the riffs on this album are just amazing, especially on like Unfamiliar. Just absolutely loved it. Remember Me, best single that came out, and that is up there for me for one of the best singles that came out this year. The whole album was just solid. It was just had everything I wanted in a metalcore album. Some people would say they're very like basic metalcore. I don't care. I just actually just love the album as a whole. Doesn't go above Goes Hard for me because they didn't offer anything else that blew me away to the point where I have to listen to this album all the time. This is an album I would happily kind of go for a run, go to the gym, put on, and know I'm gonna have like a great time listening to it. Hardly any skips as well. I don't think there's any skips really, actually. I could just happily sit down and listen to the entire thing. And then the last one is a band I only got into this year, and that is Invent Animate Heavener, which is gonna be going above Currents. Invent Animate have just been an absolute joy to listen to this year. Their song Without a Whisper, that one probably is my favourite single that has been released this year. Absolutely love it. The vibe, the ethereal kind of like mood of the album. Love the vocals, the guitar riffs, the like heaviness to it. The fact that I can't learn any of these songs because they all need 7 strings and I've only got 6. And the fact they also brought out another song called Heavener, which was the obviously the title of the album, a couple of months later on, just kind of feeling really like complete in this album altogether. I feel like Currents and Invent Animate going in the same direction but in their own styles, but to the same level of kind of like how good. I'm sure people will be able to pick apart the comparisons a little bit more and say which one stood out more for them. I think them 2 going in together in Goes Hard, I think is quite fair. There we go, that's my list. We've got 2 in an album of the year, 2 in Goes Hard, 2 in decent, and then 4 in which I guess you could say is quite a brutal tier list this year. I feel like I've put more albums in here than last year as well, and going forward I want to be doing more conversations about albums, maybe not as many album reactions, maybe just actually just talking, sitting down and doing like a video on just talking about the album instead of doing a reaction for every single one of them and then coming back and then doing like an album review on its own. Let me know what you think about my tier list down below. Let me know what you think about what should be an album of the year. Do you think I'm praising an album too much? Do you think my opinion is absolute dog shit? And yeah, we'll see you for next year with hopefully many more absolute banging albums coming out and just more music in general, and hopefully a couple more genres as well. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. See you later. Goodbye. I'm gonna put it in... I might put it in